Guys, I'm back with another video. This time I want to try something different. I'm going to try and attempt to do a video commentary, fan commentary on one of my favorite action movies of the 90s, Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes. I've seen other YouTubers do this. I wanted to give it a try and see if I can pull this off or not. As I said, I've seen other YouTubers do this. One YouTuber in particular, I want to give him a shout out. He's one of my biggest influences. Matt, aka Rambo Raff for life. Shout out. How you doing? Wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. But thank you for your inspiration. But yeah, I'm gonna try this. And see how well it goes. See how well I do. Have it paused at the beginning. 3, 2, 1. Press play. The world famous Warner Brothers logo. The same Warner Brothers which was just acquired by Netflix. And about a month ago, maybe, I did a short video review on Passenger 57, and of all the shorts that I've done, it got the most views. And I went into a little bit, about the background and how I was in high school. The first time I saw this, I was 15 at the time. Kevin Hooks, he directed this. He was also an actor. If you remember the movie Sounder with Cicely Tyson and Paul Winfield, Kevin Hooks, he was in that movie as an actor. Some other films he directed, Fled with Lawrence Fishburne and Stephen Baldwin, Black Dog with Patrick Swayze. Can't remember. The romantic comedy Strictly Business from 1991 with Tommy Davidson, Joseph Phillips, and Halle Berry. I think that was her first movie. I'm not sure which one was her first movie. It was either Strictly Business or Spike Lee's Jungle Fever. But anyway, back to Passenger 57. One day before I went to school, this was in April of 1992, E! Entertainment Television, they had this show called Behind the Scenes, and they went behind the scenes on Passenger 57, which was, I think it was shot in Florida. The production started in January of that year, 1992. I do remember seeing that. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, Wesley Snipes." And at this point in his career, he was best known for, of course, Nino Brown in New Jack City. I mentioned Jungle Fever, Spike Lee movie. He was in that too. The independent drama, The Water Dance. If anybody remembers that, with Eric Stoltz and William Forsythe and Helen Hunt. And White Man Can't Jump. With me, we're now meeting our main villain, played by Bruce Payne, Charles Rain, aka the Reign of Terror. He's about to undergo plastic surgery to change his looks. As the FBI shows up, SWAT, I saw this on opening day. I think it was, if I remember correctly, November 6th, 1992. And I thought, when I saw that behind the scenes episode on E! Entertainment, I was like, Wesley Snipes, an action hero? And at that point, I had no idea that he was a martial artist. So to see him be, introduced as an action hero, that was a big deal for me. At that point, we had, of course, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Chuck Norris throughout the 80s, and then around 1988, there were two new guys who came along, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal. Van Damme in Bloodsport, Seagal in Above the Law. Can't forget Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren too. I thought, got all these guys. They're cool, but where the brothers at? Where the brothers at? And back during the 80s, Eddie Murphy and Carl Weathers and Action Jackson and Predator, black heroes on screen were very few and far between throughout the 80s. Eddie Murphy made his first movie, 48 Hours. Then 2 years later, he got Beverly Hills Cop. Beverly Hills Cop 2, The Golden Child. Can't forget that. That has some action, adventure elements in it too. If you wanted to see a badass action hero, black action hero, you had to go back to the 70s. Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, Jim Kelly, those guys, and Richard Roundtree and all of them. You had to. Where was I? I had a phone call. I had to decline it. But anyway, black heroes. Back in the 70s, they were okay. Where was I? Yeah, action heroes back in the 70s. Throughout the 80s, they were few and far between, as I said. And as I said, we had your Van Damme, Seagal, Stallone, Schwarzeneggers, and my question was, where's the brothers at? Finally, November 6th, 1992, my prayers were answered, and that's when Wesley Snipes was introduced as action hero John Cutter in this film. This was a major event for me as a young teenage action movie fan. I like what I do. I get the chance to meet people like you. Anti-terrorism expert, former head of security. Tom Sizemore, rest in peace to him, as his friend, Sly Del Vecchio. And he's a good actor. I think the first time I saw him was the prison movie Lock Up with Sylvester Stallone. That's where I first took notice of Tom Sizemore. Good good actor. He's been in a lot of movies throughout the '90s, especially from Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel, Heat with Pacino and De Niro, Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down, Pearl Harbor. Yeah, he's a lot of impressive credits. Damn it, Sly, give it a rest, all right? He's still, John Cutter, Wesley's character, he's still haunted by a tragedy, love of his life. Bruce Payne, who's our main bad guy, Charles Rain. Right after this, he played a villain in another movie that I'm a big fan of called Full Eclipse, which was with Mario Van Peebles, an HBO production, original movie. I think you can find that on YouTube. Yeah, he was he ran this secret police squad of vigilantes. If they shoot this serum, they literally turn into werewolves. That was a cool little story. I like that. And what else has he played bad guy in? The one movie, there was another movie with the Brian Bosworth. What was it? One Tough Bastard or One Man's Justice. I think it was one of those titles. Yeah, he was the villain in that movie too. And then he was a villain in one of Dolph Lundgren's movies called Sweepers, about these high-tech landmines, littered around Angola. He's a damn good villain. He's the Reign of Terror, as he's nicknamed. And Passenger 57 was another in a long line of movies that were influenced by Die Hard. Die Hard was such a game changer within the action genre, that it spawned a whole subgenre within action movies. Die Hard 2, Under Siege was Die Hard on a boat. Cliffhanger with Stallone was Die Hard in the Mountains. Passenger 57. And Air Force One with Harrison Ford. Die Hard on a Plane. Just to name a few. Even Eddie Griffin did a direct-to-video movie back in the early 2000s called Blast, where he's a hero. I think this was around the time he did Undercover Brother. This is where he loses the love of his life, trying to stop a robbery. I'm not gonna try to stop you, man. You shouldn't have tried to stop me the first time. I recently saw, I think this was his first movie, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson, a football comedy, Wildcats, with Goldie Hawn. I just saw that movie for the first time recently. Roku channel. Yeah, I think that was him and Woody Harrelson. That was their first movie in 1986. And they got together. Wesley and Woody worked together again the same year as this with White Man Can't Jump. And they reteamed for a third time in 1995. Money Train. That's a solid action movie. Yeah, 1992. This was the same year. Same year as Universal Soldier and Under Siege. Which I saw all those movies in theaters. Batman Returns, just to name a few. But anyway, I want to get back to the behind the scenes on E! Entertainment Television. You know, I saw this behind the scenes right before I stepped outside to catch my bus to go to school. And I was like, whoa, Wesley, an action hero? Once again, at that time, I didn't know he was into martial arts. He was a bona fide martial artist. I didn't know that. But this was the movie that introduced him as the action hero and showcased his martial arts skills. I was impressed. Finally we got a brother. Black man. Always bet on black. I love that line. And I'm not the only one who loves that line. Anytime somebody mentions this movie, sometimes people mention that line, that one-liner. Always bet on black. And at this time, I was like, man, Wesley, an action hero, like, what's he gonna do next? And then after this was the crime drama Boiling Point with Dennis Hopper. Yeah. It's not an action-packed movie. It's a crime drama where he's a treasury agent on the trail of counterfeiters. Counterfeiters played by Dennis Hopper and Viggo Mortensen. I'm only taking this job to make your life miserable, man. No surprises. What is it? Your lips could be busted, man. What's the surprise? I like his little exchange with Sizemore's character. You listening to me? Fine. But anyway, in October '92, I went to see Under Siege with Steven Seagal. And before that movie started, the trailer for Passenger 57 popped up. I was like, yeah, all right, this looks good. I want to see this. And it came out a month later. They're boarding the plane now. Mr. Rain, he's being escorted by 2 FBI agents. by Elizabeth Hurley. And the other flight attendant, Marty, played by Alex Datcher. But anyway, Alex Datcher. After this, she was in John Carpenter Presents Body Bags, the first segment of that trilogy of horror tales. The gas station. And she was in another movie with I can't remember the name of it, but it was with Richard Norton, and I think Cynthia Rothrock was in it. The martial arts movie. She was in that. And then she was in an episode of Martin. If I remember correctly, she kicked his ass in the game of pool. She kicked Martin's ass in the game of pool. I've only been on a plane ride twice in my life. This was back in May 2018. Me and my wife at the time. We had our honeymoon in Vegas. Flew from Pittsburgh to Vegas, and from Vegas back to Pittsburgh. That was the only time I ever been on a plane. And we flew the worst airlines ever, Spirit Airlines. If you know about Spirit Airlines, boy. Ugh. Keep our fingers crossed. But we made it there and back safely. He's reading The Art of War. Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Atlantic International. And after Boiling Point, he teamed up with Sean Connery in Rising Sun. This was a mystery whodunit. Demolition Man with Stallone, Simon Phoenix. You could tell he had fun playing Simon. And then Sugar Hill after that. Sugar Hill came out, a few months after Demolition Man. And, playing a character similar to that of Dino Brown, except Dino Brown was a monster, but the character he played in Sugar Hill, Romello, he wants out of the drug game. But his big brother, played by Michael Wright, played Ray Nathan, and the people that they're working with, they ain't letting them go too easy. With the handcuffs, dangerous? Best believe he is. That's why he's in handcuffs. course, this is years before 9/11. There were other airplane movies like this back in the 70s, which I heard of, but I never saw. Like Airport 71, I think that was the name of one of those movies. And then there was Airplane, and then we had a spoof called Airplane in 1980. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. I think I'm doing good so far with this commentary. So, she's still mad at your ass for lecturing her the other day. That was for your own good. Old Charlie Rain, he's got some tricks up his sleeves. He's about to unleash. Marty, the flight attendant. She brings this old lady to sit next to him. And of course, she mistakes Cutter for Arsenio Hall. She goes, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, the Arsenio Hall was still running at this time. And, it was one of the most popular talk shows, late night talk shows on TV. If you hear any noise in the background, it's raining. Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll probably be in there a long time. Yeah, he goes into the restroom just before the shit hits the fan. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh shit. Down goes the two FBI guys. And now they've taken over the plane. Who's in charge? I am. Once again, who's in charge? You are. Excellent. When I first saw this, I was like, ooh, boy. The in-flight entertainment program has been canceled. The weapons being carried by my staff are real, so is their desire to use them if provoked. I'm prepared to do whatever is necessary in order to achieve my goal. If you do as instructed, you will not be harmed. If you disobey or interfere with their activities, you will be shot. Just, just a villain that you never forget. You know. get that phone. Call old Sly. Now, why the hell he put me on the phone, put me on a plane with a bunch of damn terrorists? Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Yeah, first it's Arsenio shit, now this. Get him on the phone, damn it. Sly. Del Vecchio. Oh shit. Bad guy coming. Incoming. You, back to your seat now. Oh, please don't shoot me. I don't want to die. Please don't shoot me. I don't want to die. I love how he played that off. They taking over the plane. Sweet Jesus. They taking over the plane. Yeah. Come here. Put your hand in it. Yeah. Swallow some of that blue water. Say hello to your friends. I have no friends. Mr. Cutter, I'm sure your superiors would not like you to do anything rash or risk the lives of all these wonderful people. Stand up. Move. Cold-blooded villain. I have what I want. I have control of the plane and everything on it. Must I prove that to you? Sir, tell Mr. Cutter your name. Douglas. Cutter, meet Douglas. Do you have any children, Douglas? A daughter. A family man. He has a daughter who loves him. And she, until your interference, had a father. Wow. Cold-blooded. Now, drop the fucking gun. Yo. And he just shot one of his boys. I loathe incompetence. Alright. Yeah. Who the hell are you? Yeah, he's another one of them. You guys want to fight terrorists, you're on your own. Oh, but surprise, surprise. He pulls out a knife. I think we should do exactly what Mr. Rain wants. Oh shit. Yo. Yeah. Yo. Seeing this for the first time, I was jumping out of my seat. Oh shit. I saw this, I was like, yo, that's what I'm talking about. Man, there's trouble in the air now. What is it? 30, 40,000 feet in the air? He's not just a terrorist. I'm going to empty the fuel. That is risky. How's this fucking plane? If I don't figure out a way to bring him down, I'm the best. Then do it. Dump the fuel, even as risky as it is. Everybody's already being held at gunpoint. Now this. Yeah. You let the feds put a terrorist on one of my goddamn planes? Mm-hmm. Yep. Cutters on that plane. Passenger 57. Ooh, the hole in that guy's head. Damn. You're losing fuel. Mm-hmm. Another movie involving terrorists taking over a plane. Uh, the Delta Force with Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin. I grew up on that too. 10 years after that, there was a movie similar to the Delta Force called Executive Decision with Kurt Russell, Halle Berry, and Steven Seagal. That's all right. I think I like the Delta Force better than that. Some other movies that takes place on a plane. Turbulence with Ray Liotta. That was a decent one. Uh, excuse me. Snakes on a Plane with Sam Jackson. I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. But the edited for TV version is even funnier. I have had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane. Let's do it. 39 minutes. We're pretty much halfway into the movie already. Yeah, the movie is only 83 minutes, an hour and 23. do have a thing for action movies to have running times that's less, 90 minutes or less. You know, like, and not just action movies. Any kind of genre movie that I recently I reviewed the new movie Primate. That movie was right at the 90-minute mark. I had fun with Primate. It was a solid, and Father ever teach you never send a boy to do a man's job. Speaking of boys, our stewardess friend must be feeling particularly unsatisfied. Charlie, you ever play roulette? On occasion. Let me give you word of advice. Always bet on black. Yeah. Always. Yeah, I'm getting into this, this commentary thing. This is all right. Getting the hang of it. Hey man, let me give you a hand. The plane is about to land near this state fair, this carnival. Rebel flags. There's another Wesley Snipes movie that had a plane sequence, Drop Zone from 1994. There's a scene where the villain played by Gary Busey and his cohorts, they snatch up this computer hacker and they kill Wesley's brother in the process. And his brother was played by the late Malcolm Jamal Warner. Rest in peace to him. Well, they didn't actually, he didn't exactly kill him. He got shot, and the door was blown off, and a lot of people were blown out of the plane along with his brother. And talking about Drop Zone in that plane sequence. And here he gets kicked off the plane after the plane lands. Laid there on the ground. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sheriffs. Down around face. When I first saw this movie, I thought, man, don't shoot him down, man. He's unarmed, you know. And at this point, the time this movie came out, the beating of Rodney King and the acquittal of the officers that did it was still fresh in people's minds. This was the same year they were acquitted, and the riots in L.A. broke out. I thought, that it was still fresh in my mind. Look out your window toward the plane just in front of the landing gear. And a body is dumped out. Ooh. I just executed 5 passengers. I'll execute 5 more every 3 minutes until you find me someone who is authorized to meet my demands. Passengers, you'll be responsible for saving 100 lives all by yourself. Check and mate. Rain was a monster, blowing up shit here and there. Killed over 60 people with his. In London, he said. Boy. The fuel tank arrives. He tried to attack us. Yeah, okay. I was a plane on the hijack. I was a passenger on the plane before it was hijacked. You ain't done too good a job. He's only one man. One of my men betrayed me and escaped from the plane. Yes, black man, very smooth and convincing. Motherfucker. Yeah, well, I know motherfuckers who say they saw Elvis in their goddamn mall. You gonna believe that shit too? Yeah. The former head of security for Atlantic International. What would you do if you were me? Kill myself. passengers until they do. Okay, now he's releasing some passengers. He's doing this so he and his cohorts could slip off and make their way to the fairgrounds. Why would he bulldoze his way through people like that only to get his ass shot down? One of those passengers, he just literally just bullied his way through other passengers only to get his ass shot down with a Uzi. And it is a trick. Boy, this motherfucker. Yeah, whoop their asses. Out of here. Get off me. Hold it right there, buddy. Backspin, pop. Out of here. Backspin kick, pop. Get out of here. Yep. And take his motorcycle and haul ass. Mm-hmm. He's headed toward the fairgrounds. You want us to go out there? Why is that, Luther? So we can get some more practice whooping your dumb ass? Here he comes. You'll take care of Mr. Cutter, huh? Not if he takes care of you first. Chief Dwight Henderson, FBI, played by Robert Hooks, Trouble Man, the original Trouble Man from 1972, one of my favorites of the film era known as blaxploitation. Trouble Man, soundtrack by Marvin Gaye. Michael Jai White recently did his own version of Trouble Man, inspired by the original movie. I like the original better. Michael Jai White, he's one of our top action stars in the game, but his last couple of movies hasn't been all that exciting to me, including his most recent called Oscar Shaw. I was expecting some action, but it's more of a drama than anything. He's an ex-cop. I'm talking about Oscar Shaw. And then, his partner, his ex-partner, played by Tyrese, which is, yeah, spoiler alert. Less than 20 minutes into that movie, Tyrese's character is killed off screen. Yeah, it's okay. Cutter, John Cutter. What happened to him? He said he was on that plane. He beat up a couple of my men and headed out towards the fairgrounds. We'll catch him. Yeah, I hope he got a good early retirement plan. Chief, you better see to it your man don't harm Cutter. Because if he's hurt, I'll press charges against you myself. How you like that? We're almost an hour into it now. 56 minutes. Ooh, you shot an innocent clown in the back, dude. What's wrong with you? And I like this music score too by Stanley Clark. Stanley Clark, he did the music score for Boys in the Hood, this film, and I think another John Singleton movie, Higher Learning, just to name some of his credits. Hey, he falls to the ground and dies with his ass up in the air. Dun, 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 a merry-go-round. It's a tight action scene too, and the music fits like a glove. I love this part of the music score. Struggle with the gun. Get the gun away from him. Ah, he was just about to, right before they tackled him. FBI, Rain, you're under arrest. Again. Tan jacket and blue, navy blue pants. There he is. Do, 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 do. got some explaining to do. Get him out of here. Dwight Henderson, FBI. Pleasure is mutual. Yeah, I'm fine. What the hell's wrong with you, huh? It's your idea of a surprise. You fucking put me on a plane with a goddamn terrorist. Those two agents you murdered on the plane were friends of mine. Thank you for telling me. I do enjoy knowing the people whose lives I've touched. If I'm not released, you'll be clearing up their remains for quite some time. My colleagues have instructions to start killing passengers in 20 minutes. Get this piece of shit inside. They rarely, action movies ain't made like this no more nowadays. Too much CGI. I grew up watching practical effects and appreciate, practical effects and the hard work that effects artists put into those practical effects. But a lot of these production companies, directors, they would rather, spend money on CGI than to pay stuntmen, and he did. I saw him take a passenger on that plane, asked him about his family, and he blew his brains all over the damn floor. Yeah, he did. But yeah, these days it's rare to have practical effects in movies. Yeah, CGI has its purposes, they have their uses, but it's I think it's kind of lazy on these filmmakers' behalf for, I don't know, maybe it's just, safety reasons as well. I mentioned this YouTuber earlier in the video, Rambo Raf. He rants about the lack of blood squibs being used in movies. I can understand that. But yeah, I appreciate blood squibs too. But safety reasons, even more so, especially after the whole Alec Baldwin Russ situation almost 5 years ago. They're gonna, use CGI gunshots, even more since that tragedy. I remember watching the RoboDoc, which is the RoboCop documentary. Peter Weller himself even said that he's happy that they are using CGI now instead of blood squibs, because those blood squibs can be painful. They were very painful, especially during that scene where his character is shot with multiple shotguns. If you've seen RoboCop, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sick of your shit. I'm supposed to trust you. Trust your instincts. My instincts are to wax your ass all over this floor. Passengers' lives are in your hands. Don't fail them. talk to that man. He'll shoot you. Don't give him a reason to hurt you. That's exactly what they want. Just try and remain calm. Boy, within 5 minutes, he will continue as previously instructed. Gentlemen, I'm ready to leave your lovely little town. He's just smug and just smug and arrogant. Da, 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 da. Running him back on the plane now. Old Charlie got another trick up his sleeve. All right, all units, stand by. Now, take them. Change of plans. That's one of his men. How is it? It's all right. Took a bullet to the arm. He'll live. They just blew up the fuel truck. Yeah, get off the ground now. All right, get a move on, Cutter. Take this one down and get your ass back on that plane. Now, Biggs, drive. Where? Follow the fucking plane. I'm sorry, I'm not saying much. It's just, I'm into the movie. I like to think I'm doing all right with this commentary. I am liking it though. If you don't want to wear your seatbelts, you don't have to. Watch me sneak on a plane without a ticket. Maybe covered by the health insurance. Yeah, it's under the section of mental illness. I need a gun. You need your head examined is what you need. It belongs to my wife. Yeah, he's getting back on the plane. And this kind of reminds me of Arnold and Commando, where he gets off the plane. The way he jumps off the plane. He goes through the grounding commando. He gets off the plane to go find his daughter, who's been kidnapped. But here, Wesley's jumping on the plane through the landing gear. through the landing gear. Yep. It's time to make the proper arrangements. And he's gonna try and make a move on Marty, the flight attendant. He keeps licking his finger. Creepy. And that look in his eyes like, man, get your hand off me. You'll have to kill me first. She's disgusted. And here comes Mr. Cutter again. To save the day. Like this little piece of music too. Dun dun. Dun dun. Dun dun. Dun dun. Another fight scene with Mr. Forget, the Frenchman. Give it to him. The golf club. Pow, pow, pow. Whoop him. Yeah, get your ass out of here. Dun dun. Dun dun. Dun dun. Now, I don't know why, you did not need those. You could have left those right where they were. He puts 2 hand grenades in his pockets. And they never come into use. He turned his plane around and landed the air view we just left. All right, do it again. Less than 10 minutes before this is over. Yeah, this goes at a fast pace, Some of my favorite movies, they have that running time. Between 80 to 90 minutes. What a waste. Keep that on her. If she moves, throw her out the window. There's only one left, and he's all mine. Yep. Our finale. versus evil, hero versus villain. That's a horror movie moment. Okay, now Cutter and Rain going at it. Yeah, kick right there, kick like that. Yeah, yeah. Oh, damn. He's trying to strangle the hell out of him. Mm. Now the door is about to fly off. Boom. It's amazing. No other passengers went flying out of that doorway. Yeah, there you go. Right in his balls. And he's still holding on. Yeah. They're right up at the doorway. Get out of here. Kick. Yeah. One more. One more time. Goodbye, Mr. Rain. Nice knowing you. Have a hard fall. Yeah. You disabled Rain yet? You damn Skippy. He's out of here. They're fucking out of here, dude. And here she is again. Woo, 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 woo. Yeah. And they land back at the air view that they just left. They just took off from that area. Yeah. I applaud it, when the credits started rolling, like some people do at the movie theaters. The first time I saw this, I saw this on opening day. And at this time, this being an R-rated movie, I had to get, and I was under 17, I had to get permission. Mama didn't have to. She didn't have to come into the theater with me. I just had to get her permission. He has my permission to see Passenger 57. You know, you know, I did that sometimes, up until I turned 17. If I wanted to see an R-rated movie, I would, yeah, back in the early '90s, when I would want to see an R-rated movie, I would buy a ticket for a PG-13 movie that started around the same time, you know, around the same time as the movie that I really wanted to see. And, yeah, I used to do that, and I know I'm not the only one, but yeah. Good. You didn't have to see my wife's gun, did you? Yeah, he lost it before he got back on the plane, and now that the credits roll. Both John Cutter and Marty Slayton, they walked back to the old fairgrounds. Credits roll, and that's passenger 57. Too high, too high. Stevie Wonder. Too high, too high. And then up and down. Yeah, yeah, man. Um, this was my commentary on Passenger 57. I hope I did okay. I mean, if you see this, drop a comment. Let me know how I did. Like, share, subscribe. I want to do this again. I just have to pick out what movie I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Surviving the Game with Ice-T and Rutger Hauer. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that commentary next. But yeah, I actually like this. My first time doing a commentary. I mean, there were parts where I didn't have a whole lot to say, but I think I did all right. Yeah, but I'm gonna end it right here. Um, yeah, I really am thinking about surviving the game after this. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Whether it's a commentary or another movie review. But, yeah, that's it until now. As I said, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I like to hear your thoughts about how I did with this commentary. Until then, I'll see you later.